relationship between mercy and righteousness in Scripture. In Scripture, the relationship between mercy and righteousness has been a subject of deep theological reflection. While modern or legal frameworks often portray these as opposites, the Bible presents them as harmoniously united, revealing the covenantal character of God. The Hebrew term ḥéśed, commonly translated as mercy, appears 11 times in Genesis. A close analysis of the Septuagint reveals a striking pattern. In 6 instances, ḥéśed is translated as eleēmosýnē, or eleēmosýnē, meaning compassion or mercy. However, in 5 other cases, it is translated as Dikaiosýnē, that is, righteousness. This choice is theologically significant. The translators, attentive to both Hebrew meaning and Greek conceptual frameworks, understood that in certain contexts ḥéśed and Dikaiosýnē could convey the same theological reality. Rather than a mere linguistic shift, this reflects a deep conviction that God's mercy is often the active expression of His righteousness. Key passages such as Genesis chapter 19, verse 19, Genesis chapter 20, verse 13, Genesis chapter 21, verse 23, Genesis chapter 24, verse 27, Genesis chapter 32, verse 10, Exodus chapter 15, verse 13, Exodus chapter 34, verse 7, Isaiah chapter 63, verse 7, depict God's mercy not as an alternative to righteousness but as its faithful enactment. Here, righteousness is not judicial coldness but loyal love fulfilling covenantal promises. That ḥéśed is translated as righteousness underscores how divine righteousness is infused with compassion and restoration. This supports the chapter's central claim: biblical righteousness is not an impartial verdict but God's saving faithfulness in action. Mercy and righteousness are not rivals, they are mutually illuminating aspects of who God is. Thus, translating ḥéśed as Dikaiosýnē is not a philological error but a theological affirmation. God is righteous because He is faithful, and His righteousness is His mercy in motion. Mercy and righteousness, a theological unity in the Greek translation. The rendering of ḥéśed as righteousness in the Septuagint reveals a broader understanding of God's nature. Divine righteousness includes not only judgment but also active fidelity and compassionate benevolence. This dynamic is further reinforced by the translation of tsedaká, often rendered as righteousness, but also, in several texts, as eleēmosýnē, mercy, or active compassion. This translation choice reveals that, for the Septuagint translators, righteousness and mercy are not only compatible but often identical in expression. Examples include Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25, Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 13, Psalm chapter 24, verse 5, Psalm chapter 33, verse 5, Psalm chapter 103, verse 6, Isaiah chapter 1, verse 27, Isaiah chapter 28, verse 17, Isaiah chapter 56, verse 1, Isaiah chapter 59, verse 16, Daniel chapter 9, verse 16, Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 19, Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 21. These verses portray tsedaká as divine intervention on behalf of the vulnerable and repentant. Translated as eleēmosýnē, righteousness is seen not as retribution but as restoration, lifting the lowly and sustaining covenant faithfulness. This dual translation, tsedaká as Dikaiosýnē and as eleēmosýnē, confirms that biblical righteousness is rooted in mercy. The one who is righteous acts mercifully, and the one who is merciful embodies righteousness. Unlike the retributive logic of Dikē, biblical Dikaiosýnē is grounded in steadfast love and redemptive action. In this light, righteousness is inseparable from grace. ḥéśed, joy, and vindication, broader dimensions of righteousness. The Hebrew word ḥémet, often translated as truth or faithfulness, further deepens the biblical portrait of righteousness. In Hebrew thought, ḥémet denotes covenantal reliability and unwavering integrity. In the Septuagint, ḥémet is sometimes translated as Dikaiosýnē, reinforcing the idea that God's righteousness is His trustworthy faithfulness, His consistent alignment with His word and promises. Texts such as Genesis chapter 24, verse 49, Exodus chapter 18, verse 21, Joshua chapter 24, verse 14, Isaiah chapter 38, verse 19, Isaiah chapter 39, verse 8, Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 8, or 18 to 9, Daniel chapter 8, verse 12, reflect this connection between righteousness and fidelity. Additionally, tsedaká is sometimes rendered with other terms that broaden its scope. For instance, in Isaiah chapter 61, verse 10, it is translated as euphrosýnē, meaning joy, portraying righteousness as a cause for celebration in light of salvation. In Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 10, it takes the sense of vindication or favorable judgment, revealing its restorative and defensive dimension. Such variation is not instability but evidence of the theological richness of biblical righteousness. Whether expressed as mercy, joy, or faithfulness, all are facets of the same divine reality. Conclusion: the Septuagint's treatment of Dikē and Dikaiosýnē reflects a fundamental theological shift. While Dikē retains its Greek connotation of retributive justice, Dikaiosýnē, under Hebrew influence, emerges as relational, faithful, and merciful. Translating ḥéśed, tsedaká, and ḥémet as Dikaiosýnē was not accidental. It affirms that righteousness and mercy are intertwined attributes of God. He is righteous because he is faithful. He is merciful because he acts righteously. In this view, mercy and righteousness are not opposites but expressions of one divine quality, the active grace of a God who restores. This vision challenges modern retributive notions and invites us to recover the redemptive heart of God's righteousness.